And we're back. So last time, you guys finished up your adventure in Deep Fathom, cleaning up the mine and leaving Darenith Deep Fathom to her devices with the dangerous void water that apparently turns people into shambling undead. And you just kind of let her do what she was going to do with that. After returning to Sandmire, you picked up your reward and were then contracted by Lord Raven himself to accompany a young tiefling back to her home, which has apparently been overrun by a mercenary force, mercenary army, from what she has told you. And to that end, you guys boarded a ship, a very unusual ship, called the Sparrow, captained by one Cyrus Zephyr and his crew, who you briefly met, as the ship pulled away from the docks of Sandmire Point, and that is where we pick up today. Just
right.
Change the music real quick.
So, just to clarify, we're waking up on the ship.
No, the ship has... we could skip to the next morning. It's fine. It's not like I had anything planned for that day.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't know if we boarded at night or like...
I think it was like midday, basically.
It was like early afternoon.
It was still going to be like a 2-week trip?
Yes, it is. Oh god, what did I say? I believe I said it was a 3-week trip by regular boat that would be cut down to about... Oh, excuse me. It would cut down to 10 or 12 days, I believe, by the Sparrow. Because it is a special ship. As evidenced by its propeller and strange skiff-like device at the front. And in fact, as you pull away from the docks, once you get a certain distance from Raywind, the propeller, you hear a rumble in the ship, and the propellers kick on, and the ship actually kind of hydroplanes up on the front skiff and starts to skip across the water much faster than any ship you've ever been on, if you've ever been on a ship.
Just happy to not have to hide on the ship this time.
And so yeah, you have been released by Captain Zephyr to go about your business on the ship. There we go, the Sparrow. As was explained to you last time, there are other passengers. There are 6 other passengers on the ship. You have not met them yet. And because of the crowding and the passengers, you guys will be bunking with the crew.
Perfect.
Crew quarters on the main deck there on the map.
Okay.
Before Captain Zephyr kind of leaves you, he explains, "Oh, we'll all be getting together tonight. We'll be getting together tonight at the captain's table. I've invited all the other guests, and of course you are also invited, so we can all meet properly."
That sounds amazing.
Yes, that sounds lovely.
I'd love to.
For a nice dinner?
I'll be looking forward to it.
And with that, he'll head off to do whatever captainy things he has to do.
Well, I'm going to go see where we're sleeping and pick my bed. Would anyone like to join?
I'll be doing the same, yeah.
I'll head down to... Well, I'll go to the main deck, and I'm assuming we're sleeping on the one that has all of the beds in it, not the super fancy room.
It's Area 13, the crew quarters.
Yes. If any of the hammocks are available, I'll take one of the hammocks.
Yeah, so you find that there are likely more than enough hammocks here than the crew actually needs. From what you've been able to tell, there's probably a crew of maybe 10 other people besides the main crew that you've already met. and they just seem to be just regular sailors.
So 16 people other than us total.
No,
Anyone want to bunk bed with me?
there would be
22.
Yes,
Because
20
6 guests, 10 crew, 6 main crew, and us.
Yes,
So 22
people
besides
total.
us. 22 besides us.
Okay.
yes.
22 besides us.
Yeah, I was gonna actually go back to go hang with Ruby, and like see if there's anything that she can help with. She's just kind of wanted to. That it feels more up her alley.
All right. Well, it takes you a little searching through the ship, but you eventually find her in the alchemist cabin down in the hold.
Hello again, Miss Ruby.
So you enter this alchemist cabin, and it is what you might expect from an alchemist's place. There is bottles of all sorts of things. There are plants growing, things drying from the ceiling, such as she kind of turns, tossing her red hair over her shoulder as she looks at you. Oh, hello there.
I know we just set sail not long ago, but I was wondering if there's anything that I might be able to help you with.
No,
I feel...
thank you, though.
Okay, if you do need anything, please let me know. I feel uneasy without being able to help or do something.
Oh, that's very kind of you, but I think I have everything covered here. I'll let you know if I require some assistance.
Thank you. Tiala's then just gonna kind of wander off, just kind of start wandering about, just looking. Doing her looking for anyone that might need assistance.
From what you can see, the crew seem well seasoned and they know what they're doing. From what all of you can tell, wandering the ship and checking around, the other guests seem to be keeping to their rooms. You don't see any of them wandering the ship or hanging out.
They're boring.
I mean, they're
Probably.
just passengers. They're
That's
not
true.
planning to interact. They have their business, and they just want to get to where they're going.
Yeah, but I mean, we have the whole ship. Like, look, that really tall place. That seems like a really cool place to go. And then I'm gonna just fly up to Area 4, like the top mast.
Crow's Nest?
The crow's nest.
There you go, that thing. Crow's nest.
It's all listed there in the key locations.
Right, you're right. Yep, crow's nest.
That's kind of why that's there.
The handy little, like, I think it's called a legend or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, called a legend.
Alien flies up to the crow's nest, and you find that there is one of the regular crewmen up here hanging out with a spyglass, and he seems very surprised when you suddenly appear.
Sorry. For some reason in my head, I didn't expect anyone to be up here. I'll go back down. I don't want to disturb you.
He just nods kind of dumbly. He's taken aback by the sight of a fairy on the boat.
I'll kind of like sit perched on the edge of the crow's nest and just say like, "What's your name?"
Oh, I'm Jim.
Jim. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Jim. How long have you been sailing for?
Oh, I've been sailing my whole life.
Oh. Well, this is the first time that I've ever been on a boat, and it's very exciting. Well, no, never mind. JK. It's the second time I've been on a boat.
He just kind of nods along. He doesn't seem to know what to say or how to address a real live fairy sitting next to him.
But I will say that the first boat that I was on was much slower than this boat. This seems like a much more exciting boat to be on. So how long have you been on this boat?
Oh, I've been with Captain Zephyr for He counts on his fingers, and you see him mouthing the wrong numbers as he's counting. Oh, 8 years?
Wow, that's a long time to be on a boat.
Well, Captain Zephyr is a good captain.
Sounds like it. Sounds like he has a very loyal crew with him. So do you ever... Did it take you a while to get used to the rocking?
He shakes his head. Spent most of my life on a boat. I feel weirder when I'm on land.
I've heard this from many sailors, and that's why they walk all funny. It's because they expect to be walking on an uneven surface, but then the ground doesn't move.
He nods. Yeah. So I suppose you don't have that problem with the wings and.
Nope, I can't say that I walk very much. I prefer to fly most places. Although sometimes I like to pretend that I'm a regular human and walk on my 2 feet. But it makes me very short, and I don't like people looking down at me, so I tend to fly eye level.
He has no idea what to say to that.
Well, beautiful view. Thanks for talking. I'll leave you to your scouting. Have a great day. And I'll just fly down.
You hear him behind you. You too, Miss Fairy, ma'am.
I'll meet up with my group. He was really nice. His name is Jim. He's been with this captain for 8 years. But I don't know that it was really 8 years because he was counting on his fingers, but then said a different number than what was on his fingers. So
That's all right.
If he's getting a pension, kind of wrong if he didn't get some kind of benefits.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. You broke up.
Shoot, sorry. I was just like, hope he gets a pension for being with him for that long.
Right? It seems like he has a very loyal crew. I said the same thing. I was like, wow, that's a long time. And he said that he's a very good captain.
It seems like a rather nice captain, actually.
He really does.
Very
He seems
chill.
fair.
I can't say that I feel the same way about his first date, but
I'm sure he's rather nice too. It's just, he's gotta be
Right.
stern to keep up appearances or whatever.
maybe.
Yeah.
He didn't seem fond of us being on the boat, though.
I mean,
Well, we are strangers.
yeah.
We're
Uh,
weird strangers as well.
Tiala kind of just tilts her head, like, confused by the whole wary of strangers thing. Just like,
Well, I mean, not nice strangers like you. Just like...
strangers.
I get.
Well,
Sorry,
okay.
I'm used to
there mi-
meeting
we
strangers
might-
all the time.
Yes.
Father and mother introduced me to people countless times that were basically strangers, and we're out openly friendly with all of them.
Oh, well, our group, how do I put this nicely? We tend to be 50-50, given our mood of the day, on whether we take easily to strangers or end up tying them to chairs.
It also
Hi,
depends on the stranger.
chairs?
I suppose.
Yeah, there was this one guy, we had to tie him to a chair because, I mean, in our defense, he was trying to kill us, or at least I think he was. Either way, he was in between where we needed to go and where we were, so we clearly had to take care of him. And so that day we had to tie him to a chair, but we've met plenty of other strangers that we decided to help. There was this little girl, we ended up saving her father. She was very nice.
In our defense as well, we also did want to put him in the bed. There was a bed that we could have put him on, but then we decided there would probably be too much work to put him in the bed, so we tied him to a chair.
Yes, we figured he'd be more comfy in the chair, so...
You adventurers are a rather interesting bunch.
Well,
I suppose so.
definitely
She just kind of like this all seems mind-boggling what you're all describing to her. She just kind of like got that wide-eyed, childlike expression of interest, but terror at the same time. Like, what in the hell do you people do? Who have I been left with?
Is there anything else you guys want to do on the ship before the dinner that's planned for the evening?
I mean, other than familiarizing like the pathways, I don't think there'd be anything
Yeah.
Yeah.
that way. You know,
Yeah, I
you
can't
move-
really think of anything. No.
No, I think I would be okay skipping to the dinner.
Okay. So yeah, the day passes fairly uneventfully as the ship skips along on the Galesong Ocean. Come evening, the bell rings to signal 3 bells, third shift. And you know that it's time to head on over to the captain's table, which is located in the aft. I believe it's called the aft castle, something like that. Anyway, so yeah, as you arrive, you open the door and you see this big long table. You see Captain Zephyr. He is seated at the far end, and you see that some of the other guests have already arrived. And actually, as you open the door, you hear a female voice singing. Oh, the farmer's girl has a crooked smile and patches and stains on her blouse, and a braid that hangs all the way to her arse, and she lives in a tumble-down house, where the farmer girl has a smile in her eye as she waits for me in the cart, and of all the women I've known and loved, she's the one who stole my heart. And as you walk in, you see this sprightly... This young, sprightly-looking woman with orange, short hair cut along her jawline, who is standing up on a chair, one foot up on the table singing, while a small flute actually plays next to her, floating in the air as if suspended by magic. You see seated at the table besides Captain Zephyr is another young lady with jet black raven hair who seems very demure and proper, dressed in a fine gown. And an older couple, a man with a big bushy beard and mustache who is big smile on his face, holding a tankard, rocking along to the music, and beside him a very severe looking woman with white hair who doesn't look amused in the slightest.
Mixed bunch.
And as you enter, Captain Zephyr sees you. Ah, come in, come in. We're just waiting on a couple other guests. Allow me to introduce you to those who were in attendance. And he'll gesture over to the woman who is the young lady who is singing. This is Olivia Gray. From what I understand, she's a recent graduate from Galesong Academy. And she kind of nods to the group. Oh, nice to meet you. And he gestures to the other woman with the black hair and the fine gown and goes, this is our VIP passenger, Amber Davenport. And she kind of gives a demure little nod. A pleasure. And then he gestures to introduce the man with the tankard, who then speaks up. Ha ha! Benjamin Cromwell! Pleasure to meet you. This is my wife, Tilda. And the severe-looking woman just kind of glares and nods.
It's a pleasure to meet all of you. Diala will do formal, full-blown like curtsy, just as if out of muscle memory, and just kind of like make her way to sitting across from Lady Davenport.
No, there are chairs available, obviously, for all of you. Lady Davenport is actually seated between Captain Zephyr and Olivia, so you can't sit next to her.
I said I didn't say next. I said across.
Across. Okay.
Like
yeah.
on the other side of the other table.
Sure.
Pleasure to make all of your acquaintance. And then Jahan just, I guess, just sits next to Tiala.
I'll go and sit closest, either next to or in front of. I tried to write down her name. The woman who was singing with the orange short hair.
Olivia Gray.
Olivia Gray.
Thank you, Olivia Gray. She seems fun. So I'm going to sit next to her.
Hale, take a seat next to Jahan.
All right. Once everyone is in and seated, it takes a few minutes, and you are soon joined by a tall, broad-shouldered man with blonde hair tied back in a ponytail and a short-cropped beard, who enters and pauses as he sees so many people already in attendance. Oh, my apologies. I did not know I was late. He takes a seat at the table. Captain Zephyr. Ah, not a problem at all. May I introduce Lucian Fox? He's a member of the Merchants Guild in decent standing, from what I understand. Lucian just kind of nods. A pleasure, I'm sure.
Good to meet you.
And shortly after he arrives, just as Olivia seems to be gearing up for another verse, the door opens again, and this elderly-looking man with one leg turned at a strange angle, leaning heavily on a cane, kind of hobbles his way in. He's got this long, graying black hair that hangs down past his shoulders. It looks kind of greasy and unkempt, and this long, bushy beard that hangs halfway down his chin. One eye is scarred and milky. He hobbles in, looks around at the table, holds up a pipe, takes a big drag off it, and as smoke pours from his nose and mouth, "Ha ha ha! This is an interesting assortment of people." Ha ha! And he'll hobble over and seat himself down at the table, and Captain Zephyr smiles and goes, "And this fine gentleman is Quentin Porter. I believe he's a traveling cartographer."
Maker.
Oh, wow. So you've probably been, like, everywhere.
Oh, I've been from Garderheim to the Wildlands, all the way out to dear Caliphate.
You must have written a lot of maps, I'm assuming, if you've been all over the world.
Well, I'm part of the Cartographers Guild. It's sort of our job.
That's amazing work you're doing then.
Oh, I'm... Sorry. Just trying to get things set. Where did I put... Wow. I love it when I think I've put something in my notes and it's not there. Sorry. I'm headed to Alrana to update our maps. Nobody's been out that way for all 20 years now. Gotta make sure everything's current.
Of course, that makes perfect sense.
I don't know if you guys noticed, I did put another handout in the Discord.
Oh,
Oh,
yes, I see it.
Just
Oh,
so you can keep track of
very
everybody.
cool. Yes, that makes it so easy. Thank you.
A lot of names on this boat.
Remind me, in this version of the setting, is Telkashar still closed off to non-Fae?
No, in the past, ever since the Divine Cataclysm and the reconnection with the Feywild, Telkashar has opened its borders and begun to interact with the world at large. It's still
Right.
reclusive, but not to the point it was before. Like, they do welcome traders now, and they have envoys in other kingdoms.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Captain Zephyr will stand and lift his mug, and you notice that there are mugs and drinks out for all of you preset. And he'll raise his mug. Well, here's to a fine journey.
here's to that, sir.
Yes.
And all the guests will raise their mugs. Excuse me. And you hear a chorus of "Hear, hear, yes indeed." Benjamin Cromwell lifts his the highest, sloshing it. "Ah, yes, a fine journey indeed." And he'll kick back his mug, dribbling down his beard, and then wipe it with the back of his arm.
Jahan's just gonna drink the entire mug that he has, just like in one sitting.
Yeah. Allian's gonna chug hers too.
Shelf looks over like, what the heck? quietly sips
Yes,
before
you
placing
notice
it down.
Amber is demurely sipping at hers, and Olivia is drinking kind of. She's not downing it, but she's drinking liberally. Lady Cromwell, Tilda is kind of set hers aside. She took like the barest, tiniest little sip.
Yeah.
You-
Hale will drink. What did you say? Liberally? Yeah, I like that. He's not
Liberally.
gonna. Yeah, he's not going to chug it, but he will drink. He'll drink it happily.
And shortly after the toast, Mr. Tim Button walks in with a platter full of food and lays it down on the table. Captain Zephyr kind of lifts his his mug to the cook. He goes, "Thank you, Mr. Button." And the cook kind of nods and makes his way back out. And you see there's a spread of cheeses and breads and some soup and nothing too fancy, but about the stuff you'd expect to find on a ship. With some fruit.
Very hearty foods, you would say.
Yeah, hearty foods, easy to transport.
I'll start grabbing a couple of this, a couple of that, just so I can taste a little bit of everything.
Wait, someone
Oh,
has
Jahan's getting a
fruit,
big bowl
please.
of that soup.
He'll hand some fruit to you.
Thank you.
As
Tiala
does-
proceeds to just kind of like look around, see if there's any silverware.
Yeah, no, there's full place settings.
Just starts cutting open the fruit, all just quiet. Just
As the meal begins, Olivia kind of looks over
Just
at the rest of you. Oh, you're an eclectic lot. So what are you be headed to the island for?
we have matters with the Duke.
Oh, the Duke. Oh, that's exciting.
Indeed.
Are you some people of some importance then?
Ah, you could say that.
I did say that.
Let
I'm
me-
asking you.
Let me fully introduce myself. I am Tiala Harkin.
Hearken. And
The Duke
at this
is
point,
my
Amber
father.
kind of looks up and raises her eyebrows.
Yes, the Harkins. My father is the Duke.
Oh, now isn't that exciting?
Mm-hmm. Kind of looks to the rest of the group like, please don't act surprised by that.
Hail Goldrin.
Olivia kind of looks
yes.
over. Oh, never met a dragon man before.
I've never met you, so you know.
Oh, not many people have. I've spent the past 10 years in the academy.
Oh,
That's why I'm out now, out to see the world. Write my sagas. I'm a bard.
That's the same reason I'm out in the world. To see it, experience it, learn about it.
Oh, wonderful.
same here.
And you?
Books can only-
Oh, such a beautiful fairy lady. What's your name?
Oh, well, thank you. My name is Allium.
Allium. Oh, that's a pretty name.
Oh, thank you very much.
Do you come from Telkashar?
I do.
Oh,
yes.
I want to visit that land so badly. I've heard all the tales.
Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely breathtaking.
Do you have any stories you could tell?
Oh, well, I had a dear friend of mine. One of our favorite pastimes was to go to this lake. It was just absolutely beautiful. And what we would do is we would climb the trees around the lake just so that we could see out as far as the eye, just as far as we could. And just, beautiful treetops with the light shining in. Ran into a few nasty creatures, of course. But I loved exploring the woods. It was beautiful. I lived with the elves. I was adopted. So, I loved exploring the lands around my village and
Oh,
just
nasty
getting-
creatures, you said. What kind of creatures you run into in a place like that?
well, there was one time that goodness, I believe it was a bear of some sort. that me and my friend ran into. We barely escaped with our lives.
At this point,
But
you hear a
we
thump on the table, and you look over, and Benjamin's thumping his mug on the ground. Ha! A bear! Sounds wonderful. Reminds me of the time that I went to the wildlands and hunted owl bear across the plains. You never seen such large. They're bigger there than anywhere else in the world. Absolutely magnificent creatures. Had to pay a half-orc quite a sum to get me a safari through that land. But I managed to get one, and his head is mounted back at my study. His wife looks absolutely just seething as she sits there, listening to him tell his story.
That sounds like a very intense adventure.
Oh, indeed. That's what I do. I'm a hunter by trade. Travel the world, hunt the wildest game. That's why I'm headed to the island. I hear they have strange creatures roaming some of those woods, hoping to bag me something exotic.
Strange creatures,
Well?
you say?
Yeah. What kind of creatures?
No, I don't know. I just heard some tales. But anything large and ferocious, I'm willing to hunt it.
Well,
Amber
I
kind of
prefer
frowns
not.
at him from across the table. Sounds like a horrid profession. She quietly eats her food.
I would have to agree.
I have to admit, I'm a bit of a mixed mind about this. Well, I do
Look,
appreciate a
at
good
least use
hunt.
every part of the animal.
Sorry, say again?
Who? I know
Who?
the hunt.
Jahan, I didn't hear what he said.
Yeah, I didn't hear what I said either.
Oh, I said, at least use every part of the animal, you know?
Yes, of course.
Benjamin kind of scoffs. Use the animal. I'm a trophy hunter. All I want is something to hang on my wall.
Yeah, is digging her hand. Her grip on her silverware has now tightened. She's just kind of like,
Well, to hunt purely for sport does seem a bit wasteful. Do you at least give the local people the animal after you take what you want?
I don't know what becomes of the rest of it. I take what I want, and the rest, whatever. And at this point, Amber puts her silverware down. I'm sorry, you'll have to excuse me. I seem to have lost my appetite. And she'll stand and make her way out of the room. And for a moment, it looks at Olivia, kind of watches her go, and looks like she's going to stand and follow. And she sits back down and goes back to her meal.
You should maybe consider looking into just finding a local village nearby where you kill and letting them have the meat and the rest of what you don't want.
At this point, Tilda will speak up. You're wasting your breath on my dense husband. He's an idiot, and he always will be.
We're probably like the 50th people to hear about his whole story of why he's coming here.
It reminds me of
You
my
get the
father.
impression he's always up for telling one of his hunting stories.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the kind of guy who's just like, I once caught,
You would get
the
along
dude that
famously.
tells the fish story where every time the fish is just ever so much bigger
Yep.
than it was before.
women fear me, fish fear me.
Fish fear me, women flock to me. Just I am that amazing. Yeah, right. Sit down, Chad.
You and my father would get along famously.
You often travel with your husband on his adventures.
Unfortunately.
Well, while you may not be into hunting, I'm sure you've seen many exotic lands.
I suppose so. I've seen most of this world at this point with the way this loaf travels about. It's not really to my taste. I'd much rather be settled somewhere comfortable, but needs must, and he's the one with the money.
I understand. There are days that I miss home. I understand. However, I am enjoying meeting new people and seeing new sights. For instance, I would never be on a boat that travels this fast. Ship, sorry, ship.
Captain Zephyr kind of not. He chuckles. Yes, well, you're not likely to find another ship like mine. I had it specially retrofitted.
Oh, I bet that cost you quite a bit of coin.
Oh, a small king's fortune, I should say. But well worth the price. Well worth the price.
Yes.
This is rather impressive.
Yes. It's
As
very
somebody
fun.
who-
Have you been to the Crow's Nest?
Did you ask the captain if he's been to the crow's nest?
Yeah. Uh-huh. This is the
He'll
second
laugh.
time she's been on
Oh,
she's been
I've
on
been
a
up
boat.
there once or twice.
Oh, I went up there earlier. It was absolutely breathtaking. And the wind, it just kept whooshing past. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it's nothing quite like the open sea air.
Look, we need to know if this is a people's captain or not. We need to make sure he's been to the crow's nest.
Yes. You never know.
Well, he seems quite personable from what you can tell.
Good. Yes,
Yeah,
I got to meet Jim. He was up on duty doing something, I think watching.
On lookout.
There comes a big puff of smoke from one end of the table, and Quentin kind of leans forward on his elbows. He's got soup running down his beard. So, we've heard why the young Harkin lass is traveling. What of the rest of you? What of this retinue of hardy, sturdy adventurers?
We're traveling with her to help her.
Oh, help her. So, the rumors I've heard of trouble on the island are true then.
Well, no, she's a person of importance, and she needed protection.
Oh, and he lifts
She's-
the eyebrow over his damaged eye and kind of peers at Tiala with it. Oh, so it's not true that there's an army of mercenaries rampaging their way across the isle?
Whatever rumors have left the island are. I can neither confirm nor deny. I have been traveling for a bit, and these lovely folks have agreed to accompany me home.
At this point, Lucian sets down his glass. There's really no reason to deny it.
And why might that be, Mr. Fox?
I believe anybody traveling to Alrana right now knows the state of affairs. I myself am traveling to secure a few trade contracts that may be in dispute thanks to this uprising.
Well, loath as I am to admit it, things could be better on the island.
Indeed.
There are
Uncomfortable
mercenary
silence
problems,
takes the room.
Man, this food is really delicious.
Yes, unfortunately, a certain someone's story has ruined my appetite. And she just kind of gives Benjamin Cromwell a fucking death glare of like,
He
While
seems,
Tiala says that, Jahan just like stops basically drinking from his bowl of soup and just like shrugs and just goes back to drinking from it.
Benjamin seems likewise completely unfazed by your attitude.
you know, I think I'm going to go get a breath of fresh air. If you'll excuse me, Captain Zephyr, I appreciate the offer, but I don't do well with this company. She'll stand up and she'll walk herself out as well. And she's actually going to head up towards the quarterdeck to actually get some like outside air.
At this awkward moment, Olivia kind of hastily finishes her meal and stands. Oh, suppose I ought to be turning in for the night as well. She'll head for the door as well. Her flute kind of hovers along behind her until she snatches it and sticks it through a belt loop. And with the
I just
conversation
think-
seeming to have died off, one by one the guests finish their meals and head off to their rooms.
As everyone's leaving, I'll go and try to find Tiala.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. We'll all travel to find our missing party member.
Have to.
Hale will be taking some fruit with him, though.
Yeah, Allian would have grabbed another mug of ale.
For Dravos.
Jahan's gonna grab a piece of cheese to munch on the way, but then another piece of bread.
Alright, heading out on deck, you find the sun has set and the stars have begun to come out.
Night.
Yeah, I was just leaning on the edge, on the rails, just kind of staring up at the stars, letting out a heavy sigh. Just... Well, that's an interesting fellow, Mr. Cromwell.
That is a buffoon.
Yes, but just hearing the way he spoke disgusted me.
Very
All
callous
life is
way, Jane, if
precious.
you ask me.
I think she has more sense than him, at least. Guess it's not hoping to keep things a little bit more under lock and key, but I guess rumors slip through everywhere.
Mm.
I'm worried about home.
Yeah, right. There's no fault in that, really. I mean, that's what's going on there. But we will do what we can to help you.
I appreciate it. Just in the meantime, I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I haven't seen my father in weeks now. And if they've gone after the king, who presides over the whole island but focuses in on one half, my father, who is looking over the other, probably next on the list.
Well,
Her
if
tail
we
kind of
find-
swishes.
If we find that your father isn't in any danger, if there's something that we can do, I'm sure the group is in agreement with me that we can help you.
Appreciate that.
Without a doubt.
Not a lot of kindness shown towards tieflings. Heck, my own mother hid me, in a sense, whenever I was meeting other people. That's neither here nor there. We should probably turn in for the night.
Yes, I'm very tired. It's been a very exciting day.
Yeah.
It is getting pretty late.
Alright, so with Oleana's blanket of night covering the world, you turn in, and it's a peaceful night. The next 5 days pass uneventfully on the ship. Some nights you dine at the captain's table with some of the other guests, or with just your party and the captain. Other nights you dine in the galley in much more informal meals with some of the other crew. Often you can find Olivia singing her bawdy songs around the ship. She seems quite fond of them. And the crew seem quite fond of her. You find that Benjamin can often be found with a drink in hand, regaling members of the crew, whether willing or unwilling, with tales of his wild hunts, and yes, indeed, they are quite exaggerated, and more so every time he tells them. His wife can often be found nearby, scowling disdainfully. Amber seems to keep to her rooms. She is sometimes seen at the captain's table. She is also seen in Olivia's company, quite often listening to her songs. She seems to avoid Benjamin at all costs. Lucian, likewise, spends most of his time in his cabin. Quentin, you can see tottering around the ship in various and sundry places. He's always quite pleasant when you run into him, but he's always rather greasy and dirty and odd. And it isn't until the night of the 6th day on the water that things change. You were dining with the captain at his table when Almer Blackwind, the first mate, enters the room with a severe expression on his face. Captain, I need you to come with me immediately. And Captain Zephyr will kind of quizzically stand. All right, what seems to be the problem? The first mate kind of looks around at the group, kind of shakes his head a little bit, and then leaves. The captain puts his drink down. If you'll excuse me, and he'll follow Elmer out quickly. What do the rest of you do?
Before we go on, I will say that over the last 5 days, Allium will have made it a point to, at just a little bit each day at least, go up to the crow's nest and see if Jim is working and just like talk to him. And then cut to the scene we are in now. I will look at our fellow passengers that are there and say, do y'all have any idea what might be going on?
So currently, it's just your group at the captain's
Oh.
table.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whatever it is,
Well,
the
then I'll
first
say,
mate doesn't feel like we should be informed of it,
Maybe something bad
which means
happened.
I want to know.
yeah. Same.
Allium, you're a bit smaller. I think you could sneak after them and maybe listen in.
You know, I might just be able to do that.
And you'll see that Tiala kind of puts. She'll just put her hand on your shoulder before she goes, and make Kuara watch over you as she casts guidance.
Nice. Let's see. I was trying to see. I thought for a second I might not have it yet. I thought for a second I might have a way to like be kind of invisible. I don't think I have it yet. I think it's a later level. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm definitely down to try and like stealth my way close to where they are to try and find out what they're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
I was Bravos, not like be with her, but like keep an eye on her.
As you exit the captain's table cabin, you actually just are in time to catch a glimpse of the two men making their way down to the lower deck.
Okay. I'll make my way like to where I saw them to go down to the lower deck. But once I like am about to descend into the lower deck, I would like to try and be stealthy.
Yep, go ahead and roll a stealth check.
And add a d4.
Oh, good. Okay, so roll that. And then... Ooh, thank goodness, because that was not the greatest roll. Ooh! Alright, so... 30-20.
So yeah, you quite easily are able to fly down the stairs and follow them without their notice, and you see them enter the stern of the ship into where the guest cabins are, and they make their way down the hall, and Almer stops at the door to what you know to be Amber's cabin. And you get close enough to hear him kind of speaking quietly to the captain. One of the crew found her earlier, and he brought her dinner. Not sure what you want to do about this. And he'll open the door and let the captain in.
Okay. Is there like a keyhole in this door that I could Peek
The
my
door's
eye
open.
through?
Almer is standing outside in the hall next to the door, and the captain just entered.
Okay. Am I able to stealthily get close enough to look in and see what's in the room?
Why don't you make a perception check for me?
Okay. Oh, come on. 10.
Nope, that's good enough. So from where you are, you can just make out the slumped form of Ember at a little reading table that she has in her cabin. And you can see a pool of blood around her feet on the floor.
Can I tell any like wounds or just that
Not
she
with that
slumped
check,
in?
and not from here. You would have to get
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to kind of stick around the area, just in case they talk more. However, if they start to head my way, I'd like to try and fly ahead of them back to the captain's quarters, the captain's table.
Alright, so Captain Zephyr's in the room for just a minute or two, and he then exits. Damn. Alright. Call everyone to the main deck. And he'll begin to stomp back the way they came. And Almer starts knocking on guest room doors to summon people.
Gotcha. As soon as I see him stomping my way, I just zip back up to the captain's table.
Yep.
And
you managed to make it back up there easily enough. And a few moments after you return, the captain steps back into the room. I need you all to join me on deck, please.
Is everything all right?
No. He'll exit the room before you can ask any more questions.
Yeah,
He'll
look,
get it up and go in where you just need to be.
Tiago
Well,
looks to Allium
yeah.
like, the heck?
hang on just a second. I believe there should be a way that I can telepathically communicate and them with me. I think it's a class, like per my archetype, but I can't find the.
I think it's at a higher level. I know which one you're talking about.
Is it Psychic Whispers?
Soul Knife.
You establish a telepathic communication between
Yes.
yourself and others, perfect for quiet infiltration. I choose one or more creatures I can see up to a number of creatures equal to my proficiency bonus, which means that I can choose. Okay, I can choose 2 people. And I can send or receive a message. No action required. And we have to be within a mile of each other, which is perfect. Okay.
You have to spend a psionic die for it for
Yes.
how long the connection lasts.
Yes. And I have 1 per long rest. So I'm gonna have to choose 2 of y'all. Unfortunately, Tiala, you're just joined the group, so I'm gonna
You're
choose
good.
Johanna Hale
You're fine.
to telepathically communicate. Say, what is her name? Amber. Amber has been found in her chambers, dead, whether by her own accord or somebody else's. I was not able to get close enough to tell, but the captain seems disturbed and is gathering everyone and is gonna say something. And they can respond to me. You can also respond to me in your head.
Okay.
This would be the first time I've ever used that, so it's okay if y'all are confused.
Hill's gonna be like, you have telepathy too?
Yeah, it's some abilities that I've honed over the years, trying to be stealthy and
You haven't always been reading our minds, have you?
Oh no! I
These are
have
the
to
important
establish-
questions right now.
Yeah. No. It doesn't work like that. I can't just like read your mind. I can only hear what you want to send through the bond.
Oh, thank the gods. Okay.
Well, now I kind of want to know what you've been thinking.
Ah,
Anyway,
Hale will telepathically let Talicia know what's going on.
Fiala?
Diala, sorry.
Okay. I was like, Talithia.
Look, I make up names, all right?
It's all good. Just kind of bug eyes goes, what?
start calling you Thea.
Yeah.
Tia works.
Talithia. Thea.
But yeah, I guess we'll head up to the main deck.
All right, so the group exits the cabin onto the main deck, just as you see Benjamin and his wife coming up from below deck along with Lucian, and you see Olivia actually skip down from the quarterdeck where she was entertaining some of the other crewmen by juggling daggers. She has these long, slender silver daggers that she's been juggling for them, and you've seen her do this a few times throughout the past few days. That and her magical flute seem to be kind of her signature. And a few minutes later, Quentin kind of hobbles his way up. He seems to have a little trouble getting up on deck. He'll join the rest of the group, still puffing on his big pipe. Tilda kind of, what is the meaning of this? And the captain will turn around and regard both the passengers and the group. Ember Davenport has been murdered. She was found in her cabin 30 minutes ago. And there's a general shock in the group, and you hear Olivia kind of. I know my crew. I know none of my people did this, which means one of you did. I don't suffer murderers on my ship. You are all confined to cabin for the rest of this voyage, and I will discover which one of you is behind this. And you will not see port. And at this point you notice that many members of the crew, along with Odin Flint, the quartermaster, have kind of surrounded all of you. And they start kind of hustling the guests back to their cabins. And you notice that your group is left behind. And the captain looks at you, the group. Something in my gut tells me none of you were responsible for this. Am I right? Can I trust you?
Yes.
Very much so, yeah.
I've known a lot of adventurers in my time, and this doesn't add up. Kind of regard you all, and then, all right, follow me. And he'll lead you down to Amber's cabin and allow you to take a look inside. And just as Allium saw earlier, you see she is slumped over a writing desk. There seems to be a large puddle of blood on the floor below her, and there is a slender dagger sticking out of her back.
Can I take a closer look at the dagger? Is there anything like ornate or special? Or is it just like your run-of-the-mill, anyone can have it dagger?
You fly into the room and take a closer look, and sadly enough, you recognize this dagger. It is very clearly one of Olivia's daggers.
The bard?
The bard, yes.
Hmm.
It looks exactly like the ones that you've seen her juggling around the ship. Captain
Well-
Zephyr kind of watches you and, so, what do you make of it?
Well, it would be easy to assume that Olivia was the killer because it's her dagger that was used. However, when you gave the news earlier tonight, looking at Olivia, she seemed distraught almost in a I've lost my friend more than a I'm gonna be found out way. And I think she's smart enough to not use her own dagger. Of course, that would incriminate her. My initial thought when you said that she had been murdered was the hunter. But he's also fairly easy to assume. So I think when asking questions, we need to tread carefully because there are multiple people who could be easily set up in this case.
The captain nods. Much the same as my own conclusions. This doesn't add up.
Captain Zephyr, I have a question.
Hmm.
I know it was her business, but what was Lady Davenport going to the island for? She didn't share it with us at the table, but normally they'll give you at least some idea. Your passengers would, anyway.
I believe I told you when you boarded the ship she was betrothed to the heir of the Dasimir family.
Right. Wouldn't that mean something? Because the Dasimirs are very important in business. Wouldn't that mean that it has something to do that there's some issue? There might be some issue with potentially the Merchants Guild at that point.
Yes, I suppose.
That would mean we have at least Mr. Fox also has a motive in it, not just our hunter and our bard friend. Or at least there's potential for motive.
I don't see Olivia really having a motive. They seem attached at the hip almost most of the days that we've been at sea. Now, I mean, I guess of course they could have had a fight, but Olivia doesn't seem, one, the person to kill, and two, stupid enough to use her own daggers. However, Fox, he has a legitimate, could
We
have
have
a legitimate
potential
reason.
motive. Don't have the
Yes.
full story yet.
Yes, so he definitely has a legitimate potential to be like
Involved.
reason to go after. And the hunter, while it's more vague, she did kind of call him out and say that he wasn't the greatest guy based on his stories, and she did avoid him quite frequently. Now, I'm not saying that he would go and kill someone just because they thought that he was a bad person for hunting, but you never know.
True. Yeah, I was gonna kind of like inspect the writing desk, see if there's anything, because she's hunched over her writing desk, which means she might have been
Mhm.
trying to write a note or something there. Documents or anything.
Yep. So you inspect the desk and you do find that she was actually in the process of writing a letter. From what she didn't get very far, but from what she has written, it almost seems like for lack of a better term, a Dear John letter to her betrothed.
And she didn't get. That's about all it was. That we don't.
There's not
It was
enough
just like
there
started.
for you to get too much from it, other than it basically says, sorry, Dear Thomas, I'm sorry, but I just can't marry you. And then it trails off into scribbles. That seems to be as far as she got.
I have a feeling that Olivia's moving further off the radar. But call it woman's intuition.
Honestly, and I don't mean to talk ill of the dead or out anyone, but they did seem very cozy. Very buddy buddy.
They were
Intimate.
clearly in
There
love.
may be a potential affair, maybe?
I think our young Miss Amber here was going to reject the marriage to at least try to be with Olivia.
Potentially. It's definitely not. We can't rule it out.
Forbidden love.
Quick question: who are the Davenports again?
They are the wealthiest family from Sandmire Point. They own large tracts of farmland and one of the most impressive stables in Raywind.
Okay, so yeah, that was definitely going to be a big money wedding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was going to be big involvement.
And she was traveling alone. She had no companion to help protect her.
It was just her.
Strange. You would think someone from such a wealthy family going to marry such a notorious person from a trade guild.
Well,
That,
another wealthy family.
yeah, another wealthy family. You'd think that on her travels to merge the two families in marriage, that you would want to protect that asset. Why was she sent alone?
Are you asking this, or is this just you speculating?
This is just me kind of like talking out loud to the group of like, here's some things that aren't adding up in my head. We should keep them.
Okay,
This
so you are
potentially-
saying this out loud?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Captain Zephyr will speak up. That was my job. Her family hired me and my crew to protect her.
Oh. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to assume that you hadn't done a good job.
Obviously, I failed.
Well,
Does anything look odd in the room, other than obviously the dead body?
You could make a perception or an investigation check to find out.
Which
Do you
is
mind if I
better
also
for
make a
me.
John, do you mind if I also make a check?
Any of you can.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll make checks.
I was gonna say, let me cast guidance on Allium, because technically I could say hail, but they just made their roll, and that would feel like
Yeah, no, that's
so bad
I
metagaming.
give it to, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I can't find shit.
Allium.
So add a d4 to your roll on this Allium.
Okay. And
Come on, another 4.
not quite. 18 though.
Okay, so Hale, you got the higher rolls. You're the one who sees the first really unusual thing, and that is the fact that the wound around the dagger is not that bloody. There's a little bit of blood, but it doesn't seem as much as should warrant. And Allium, you notice that the blood on the floor is dark and almost like it's like almost congealed, which, I mean, you don't know how long ago she was killed, but it just doesn't seem right to you. Like, it seems like the blood is too old. And there's also no blood anywhere else on her. Like, it doesn't look like this blood ran down from the dagger wound. It looks like somebody threw blood on the floor after the fact.
Hale will bring that first part to light.
And I'll bring the second part to light.
The dagger's just a distraction.
How would she
It's
have
a red herring.
died?
So, is there any visible wound on the body? Besides the
Other than
dagger?
where the dagger, yeah.
Why don't you make a medicine check?
Sure. Can I cast guidance on myself?
I think so.
Yeah.
It says I
you
can just
can
touch
target
one
yourself,
willing
yeah.
creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can touch yourself and like.
So,
Wording.
19 plus 1d4 for guidance, and that is 22 medicine.
Excuse me.
Nice.
So, yeah, you examine her body, and besides the dagger wound in her back, there are no visible wounds on her.
So, her
And
death
what you
is...
do notice is that her eyes are slightly bloodshot, even after death, and the back of her throat looks inflamed.
So she was strangled.
Strangled.
The dagger is entirely to lead us off the case.
Strangling would not.
Into
inflame the death.
Olivia.
Oh, strangling would not do the...
Oh.
Was she poisoned?
that would be the next course. Would be poison. Captain Zephyr, do you know of any poisons that could cause the back of the neck to inflame and someone's eyes to go bloodshot?
Well, the ship
Or
does have
anything
an
like that.
alchemist.
Yeah.
Captain Zephyr
That's
kind of
what I
shakes
was
his head.
thinking.
You should talk to Ruby.
Exactly.
I guess we have our next train. Someone I think should also probably comfort Olivia. I think she's probably taking this the hardest. Or at
I
least keep
think-
an eye on her.
Yeah, I think
I think
if the captain is okay with having someone just be with her, I think we go and talk to
Ruby.
Ruby, and then we go and talk to Olivia and see, because they spent so much time together, if anyone seemed weird around Amber or anyone.
Or if
that-
anything seemed up, like,
Yeah, like
seemed
anything
up
that's
with
been
her
going
recently.
on. Yeah. But I think we start with where the
Ruby.
poison might have come from, and then go to if
Someone who
anyone-
we're slowly
Yeah.
but surely rooting out as probably not the killer.
Captain, is Ruby also the person who deals with any like medical problems on your crew?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Do you guys want to investigate the room any further, or are you going to go find Ruby?
I would like to ask that the room be sealed off, to like have someone stand guard, so that nothing is disturbed. But I'd like to go and talk to Ruby, if
Same.
that's okay with the group.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a good plan.
Captain
Yeah, I
Zephyr
agree.
assures you that nobody will be entering that room.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, so you
We're gonna try to
Make our way
you
back
fi-
down.
You find Ruby
to-
down in the alchemist cabin, where she seems to spend most of her time.
Good to see you again, Ruby. Well, sort of.
She turns and smiles. And, I have a whole group today. How are we?
Investigating.
Investigating?
You
death?
likely heard of Amber's murder?
What? No, I hadn't been informed at all.
Yes,
It
Lady
it's just
Ember.
happened recently. Yes.
Lady Ember was murdered tonight.
Oh dear.
We have a couple of questions we want to ask you.
Questions for me?
Yes, we are not we trust Captain Zephyr's judgment of you and the rest of the crew, but we need your expertise in regards to the situation.
All right.
Do you know of
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Do you know of anything that might cause any medicines that might cause someone's eyes to be bloodshot and their neck to swell?
And she kind of thinks for a moment. Well, there's a few things that could do that, but not many that would result in death. She was poisoned?
We're not
Potentially.
positive. We're exploring the possibility.
She kind of rubs her chin. Well, the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that would result in those symptoms and lead to death would be midnight tears. But it's very hard to come by.
Do you have any on the ship?
Oh, of course not. Why would I carry such a deadly poison?
Oh,
Besides
what?
that, it's quite difficult to brew.
Oh,
So it's not good for anything else. There's no other reason a person would be carrying it.
No, of course not.
Okay.
It's
So
poison.
If it needs to be brewed, do you happen to have all of the ingredients that you would need to brew it?
Oh, I believe so. She kind of turns and peruses her stock of ingredients and things that are in her little cabin. I believe I have everything but Midnight Lily.
And have you had any of your ingredients go missing?
No, of course
Or-
not. I keep very meticulous stock of my things.
Okay. Would there be so when using the poison, would there be anything to trace it back to someone?
No, it's quite an insidious drug. You see, you consume it, and it actually doesn't do anything until the stroke of midnight.
So she's been dead since midnight yesterday? Since she was dead all morning.
If she was poisoned by that poison.
True, but that would mean that if it happened, if she was poisoned by it, that would mean that it had to be given to her yesterday.
Yes, which means Olivia wouldn't have seen her today. It's definitely something that when we talk to Olivia, we need to bring up. And not necessarily tell her, but see if she, on her own, mentions that she didn't see her today.
We should also talk to Mr. Button. See if someone came by yesterday into, the, not the galley, the fucking kitchen. And if, someone who normally doesn't come visit the kitchen came by yesterday.
Yes.
Because it feels more like it would be. It's starting to feel like it's leaning more towards this midnight poison. And they're just setting Olivia up.
Oh, I definitely agree. However, I think when we question her, we need to not show her hand, so to speak. If she doesn't mention having seen Olivia all day, or if she does and said, well, I hung out with Olivia just this afternoon.
Amber?
Yeah, I'm sorry. If I hung out with Amber, if Olivia says I hung out with Amber just this afternoon, well then Olivia is obviously lying, because if she was poisoned by this poison, she would not have been around this afternoon.
Right.
But this is also us pouring all of our eggs into the poisoned by this poison basket.
Exactly. Which is why I think we don't mention. Go ahead.
It might be a good idea to let Ruby also investigate the body.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
I think we need to.
If she would be all right with that, I don't want to put her. I don't want to put you in that type of situation if you're uncomfortable with it, Ruby.
Oh no, not at all.
Would you be able to identify if it was actually that poison that took,
Only if there's traces of it left somewhere, which is very doubtful.
Well, you might also be able to tell if it was poison at all in general, probably also.
I mean, it was made to look like it was a knife attack, but the examination of the body left no marks other than where the knife was and the very old blood that was thrown about onto the floor. So
well,
it's
if you'd like me to
very
take a look,
much
I'd be
likely
happy to do so.
Yes.
If you would.
Alright, so she'll follow you back up to the cabin if that's what you want to do.
Yes.
Alright, she follows you back up to the cabin, and you find that Captain Zephyr himself has been standing guard outside, and he lets her in, and she takes a look around. She checks the body over, checks the eyes, checks the mouth, everything. She goes, well, I can confirm that it was definitely poison. And after a moment, she bends down and looks at the corner of the room, kind of near the door, reaches down and picks up this little tiny lump of something amber and holds it up for you all to see. It was strange.
Huh?
Guargum.
What's guargon?
Guargum. It's a
Guargum.
It's an ingredient in any number of different things.
Is it used in that poison that you were telling us about?
Oh no. far too
Okay.
common an ingredient for that.
Would it be something? Would a
Is guar gonna-
cartographer have some?
A cartographer? Can't see why.
What?
How
Do
about
you
a
know what
hunter?
it's generally used for?
I think
mean,
the
you
most
said it's used
common
for a
use
number.
is in invisibility potions.
Invisibility, you
I believe
say?
it's used as a component in the spell as well.
Guar gum's not poisonous on its own
No,
in like large amounts.
not at all.
Okay.
Is there anyone on the ship that is magic based and would have an invisibility spell?
I'm afraid none of our crew are casters.
Not even any of the passengers?
I mean, we have the bard, but
To my knowledge, Miss Olivia is the only spellcaster that I'm aware of.
All the more reason to tread carefully when we're questioning her and to not necessarily reveal all that we know. I don't think she would be stupid enough to leave her own dagger. But she might be smart enough to leave her own dagger to make us think that she's not stupid enough to leave her own dagger and throw us off the trail in like a full.
Let's
That's
not
a-
spiral here.
that's an inception. Let's do the inception spiral, shall we?
Yeah. Yeah.
She knew that we know that she'd know that we'd know that she'd know.
I'm still leaning towards Mr. Fox. He has been amongst Amber. He's the only other person who hasn't been, well, out and about.
That's true.
always
And I
distract me
still
with the
lean towards
poison
him
kind
having
of-
motive if he didn't know that she was planning on denying the marriage.
Yes. Well, also, I
Or
don't know that he has the ability or know-how to brew such potion, but a hunter would benefit greatly.
Mr.
From
Fox
being
is from the
invisible.
Merchant Guild.
Oh
Merchants
no, I
have
know,
access
but the hunter, because we also suspected
I thought he
him.
was just the hunter. His name is Benjamin.
Yes, Benjamin. Thank you. I couldn't
Benjamin's
remember.
the
Mr. Cromwell.
hunter.
Benjamin would benefit greatly from not being able to be seen by his prey. So I'm not sure that he has the ability to brew such a potion, but if he did, potential link.
I'm still feeling like, in terms of everything, a merchant would have access to many things, including
Agreed.
potentially the poison itself. Don't mean to tunnel in on Mr. Fox, but he just... something doesn't feel right about him. Cromwell just sounds like a braggart.
I have to agree, actually.
Then there's the wife, though.
I don't.
We don't know much about her, or potentially her trying to... Well, if she was trying to set up her husband, I don't know why she would put the silver dagger in there. Scratch that. But if the other thing to worry about is if they used invisibility, then my original idea of them slipping it into her food or drink could have just been while she was studying.
Definitely have a lot of people to question.
Yeah, we should probably get to it then. Go on,
I
figure
think
this
we
out.
start with Olivia.
Yeah.
I don't think we should have all 5 of us huddling around
Yeah.
each individual person when we investigate.
Agreed. Do you feel like we should split up and interview multiple people at a time? Meaning, like,
What do
two
you all
of us go and interview Olivia, and 2 more interview Fox.
I think that might not be a horrible idea. one kind of surveys the room while one keeps the other person, talking.
I agree.
Still-
See if we catch
Sounds like a good
any.
idea.
If anyone can keep an eye out. Remember to keep an eye out for Wagum. It was
Yeah, Gorgum.
Guargum. Or if anyone has any brewing tools with them. Empty vials, things like that.
Ruby, how long does it take to usually brew this poison?
Oh, to brew a proper batch? Oh, a month or more?
They had to have been
How
planning
long
this.
would it take to brew an invisibility potion?
Oh, a couple of days, probably.
We've been on the boat 5 days.
Yes, there's probably a good chance that they probably.
And if they're still carrying the active ingredient, one of the components to it, well, it's just a thing to be thinking of.
Another question. How long does that how is there like a expiration date on that poison?
No.
Like how long it just stays potent then?
Of course. Wouldn't be very useful
Okay.
if you couldn't keep it till you need it.
All right.
She does raise an excellent point.
Yes. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the poison probably wasn't brewed on the ship. Especially if it
Clearly.
takes-
A part of me feels kind of like poison would just get worse, or like better, more effective the worse it got. Like if the older it gets, Because then with all that nasty stuff in there.
A fine aged poison.
Exactly, like.
Makes sense to me.
Yes. So who shall talk to who?
I think Olivia might be more open to female questioners.
Fair enough.
If y'all are comfortable, me and Tiala go and talk to Olivia, and you and Jahan go talk to Fox. Plus, he seems the type to be a little more sexist, if you will.
Don't
He might
you?
respect men a little bit more than me and
I mean, he's a
Tiala.
businessman.
Yes.
Money moves him more than anything else.
It's very true.
Well, I do have money.
Yes.
Just like I tread carefully and
Well, yes,
keep
yes,
your mind, eyes peeled.
yes.
Alright, so you guys are going to split up and go question two different people?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Alright, who do you want to do first? Because we can only do one at a time.
Obviously.
I don't mind doing Olivia first.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so you and Tiala head over to Olivia's room. You open the door and you find her seated on her bed, knees to her chest, hugging them, and just seems to have been bawling her eyes out for the past little while.
Tiala's gonna kind of like walk up and go, Ember's death hit you hard, hasn't it, Olivia? And she's gonna kind of sit down with her and kind of gently put her hand on her shoulder, kind of rub her back, trying to comfort her a little bit.
And she looks up, tear-stained face. I just can't believe she's gone.
You were rather close with her, weren't you?
Oh, I suppose there's no harm in saying it now. We were lovers. We were going to run away together.
That's kind of the conclusion we had come to as well.
She gives a little smile. Guess we weren't that stealthy about it, huh?
Well,
Maybe not.
you were until we found that she was.
She was
going
writing a
to
letter.
leave. Yeah.
She was writing a letter saying that she was not going to be able to go through with the marriage.
And we kind of put two and two together.
Olivia kind
You-
of shakes her head. Ah, fool. I told her not to write a letter. We were just going to disappear.
Us nobles have our regiments that we must adhere to.
Ah, but Amber hated being a noble. She wanted to be an adventurer.
I could understand the call.
Ah, we were going to see the world together.
I understand.
Do you know who did it?
That's what we're trying to
We're-
find out.
We're piecing
You
it
know
together.
of anyone on the ship that would have been treating her badly or acting weird around her, or you? Anyone that might have suspected the two of you, or that she might be wanting to leave?
She sort of thinks for a moment. Well, I know that Cromwell man didn't like her very much.
I have a very odd question as well. The marriage between Amber and Mr. Oh god, I should know this. Dasimir.
Dasimir.
Dasimir. It was it was pretty much a marriage of convenience, basically. They were going to make good business together. Am I correct in this idea?
Of course it was. Been arranged since she was a child.
Do you know how it might have affected trade in general?
She shakes her head. I'm afraid I haven't got the head for that kind of thing. That's why I went to the academy instead of going into the Merchants Guild.
Understand. It's just, this kind of monopoly on money and resources tends to, well, it ruffles a lot of feathers, so to speak.
If
I
you
was
say
wondering, I know Mr. Fox didn't leave his cabin recently.
So. Lucian!
But-
Oh, I've seen him around the ship a bit.
Anything about him seem odd? Did he...
Ah, just another one of those stuffed shirt merchant types. More concerned with coin than worlds.
Okay. That was one of my interests in just...
So, you mentioned that Cromwell didn't like her. Can you tell us a little bit more about why? I know the first night that we were on the ship, she didn't care for his stories and made him feel or insinuated that he was a bad person for choosing to kill for sport. But is there any other things that have happened, any other interactions as to why he would not like her so much?
Ah, no, ever since that first night, the two of them have been either avoiding each other or butting heads. My dear Emmy, she had a soft heart. She didn't like that he was hunting all those monsters just for trophies.
I can relate.
Now, I will say, Olivia, are you missing any of your daggers?
Missing any? No, I don't think so. Why?
Do you mind just double checking for us and making sure you've got all of your belongings with you?
She kind of nods and goes to the little storage chest at the foot of her bed and opens it up. Oh, let me see.
While
now. She pulls out 3 daggers. And of course her flute is lying in there. Oh, 1, 2, 3. And plus the one I gave to dear Ember for a gift.
Ah, okay.
Well,
That's- That explains it. Okay. So back to
Explains what?
can you trust me that we'll tell you everything that you need to know? And that this is not something that you need to know.
She looks a little confused, but she nods.
It's just it's better to think of her the way that you saw her last. Which, speaking of, when
At
is
that
the last
comment, she kind of covers her mouth with one hand. Oh no.
Do you mind telling me the last time that you saw her?
At that point, her cheeks kind of redden a little bit. Oh, that would have been last night, a little after first bell.
Which John
Before-
would
before
have been
midnight.
around before midnight. How long before midnight?
A couple hours.
Okay. And what had y'all done throughout the day?
Well, same as we always did. Hung around. Sang some songs for the crew, did some juggling. Amber was around for some of it, then she went back to her cabin. We had meals at the captain's table that night.
Anything out of the ordinary happen at the captain's table or throughout the day?
Nothing that comes to mind, no.
Did anyone bring her any drinks or food that she wouldn't have necessarily asked for yet accepted?
Well, Mr. Button was serving us at the captain's table that night, same as he always does. It was me, Amber, I believe that the Cromwell woman was there, and the scraggly guy. Quentin?
Cartographer.
Okay.
Oh, he was dining with us.
Did anyone ever move closer to Ember during that time frame?
Don't see how they could have. I sat on one side, the captain was on the other.
So, you mentioned that Mrs. Cromwell was dining with you, but not Mr. Cromwell.
Aye, she said he was passed out in his cups back in their cabin.
Is there any reason for you to believe that Mrs. Cromwell would have problems with her? With Amber?
Oh, no more so than she has with everybody else. That's a sour woman, that is.
Not wrong there. Um. Well, so you hadn't. It's typical for you to have met up in the mornings each day we've been on the ship, is it not?
I don't know if I'd say it was typical, but we generally spent most of the day together.
Did you, when not seeing her today, did you ever wonder what might be going on or try and go down and check on her?
Oh no, when I left her last night, she was quite exhausted. We, snuck a bottle of wine from the captain's stash. Had a bit of fun, if you know what I mean. I figured she was just resting it off.
That makes sense. Tiala, do you have any other questions? Because I'm kind of drawing a blank on what else to ask.
Well, so you spent all day yesterday with each other. Did you eat lunch and breakfast with each other as well?
We had breakfast together, but I had lunch up on the deck with the crew. I think Amber went to the galley.
To the galley. Interesting.
Okay.
So, and the galley is close to the kitchen, right?
Of course it is.
Sorry, just thinking.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, the
So
kitchen and the galley
Mr.
pantry and the galley itself are all kind of
So-
linked together.
She kind of, Tiala's gonna look to Amber, to Allium, and kind of like nod, like she's got an idea of somewhere to go with it. She's gonna look to Allium and back to Olivia and go, one last thing. Are you familiar with invisibility?
Oh, I know of
Do you
it, of
happen to-
course.
Are you able to cast it?
Oh, heavens, no. I'm only just graduated from the academy. Most I can do is the little bit of this, and she kind of wiggles her fingers and speaks a little word, and her flute levitates up and kind of plays a couple notes.
Do you happen to know of anyone on the ship who can cast the invisibility potion? I mean, spell, or would have an invisibility potion?
Oh, I suppose anybody could have had a potion. But as for casting the spell, you might want to look to that Lucian fellow. I think he's hiding a bit of tricks up his sleeves.
Mr. Fox, you say?
Aye, all them merchant types are slippery ones.
Mother and father said the same. Well, Olivia, thank you for your time, and as soon as we have answers, we'll make sure to give them to you. I know it's hard, but you'll get through this. And when you do, see the world for her. I'm sure that's more than anything what she would have wanted.
She kind of nods. Looks like she's about to start crying again.
Ciala's just gonna give her a hug and kind of look to Allium and kind of like go, you can go for a minute. She's just gonna give her a minute of just someone to cry into.
Allium is actually gonna fly over and kind of sit in front of her on the bed and kind of look at Tiala and decide whether she wants to say, and then goes, I'm so sorry for your loss. I really do understand how you feel. I lost my wife a while ago, so I know how it feels to lose someone you love, and it's gonna hurt for a long time, but things will get better, and you'll be able to look back at the times you had together and think fondly and not always be so sad.
Olivia just kind of nods and sort of collapses into quiet sobbing.
And then we'll just sit with her for a little bit.
Yeah, I think probably a good idea to get swap over to the boys.
Yep.
Oh,
The boys who went to see Lucian, I believe, right?
Yep. Mr. Fox.
Right. Well,
I'll let Jahan do all the talking. He's the pretty one.
I will say that once we've kind of settled, I'm going to. I know this is going to be kind of going on simultaneously, so I don't know at what point in the conversation, and John, you can decide. I would like to. Has it been 3 hours since I initially started the telepathic bond?
No, 3 hours have not passed since you did that.
Okay, so then as long as they are within a mile of me, the telepathic bond stands, and I would send through the telepathic bond to them that Olivia believes that Lucian might have something up his sleeve as to like an invisibility potion or even a spell potentially.
All right.
Just so they can kind of question that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you find Lucian in his cabin, sitting at his own writing desk. He has like a big ledger open in front of him, and he seems to be scrawling numbers and notes in it, checking them against other notes that he has. And there's like a pile of coins next to him. Excuse me. And he'll look up as you enter. Yes, can I help you?
Oh god, I've never done an interrogation thing before. Shit.
You don't have to role play it out if you're not comfortable doing that. You can just, hey, these are the questions I ask him. What are his responses?
Oh, okay, thank God. I just asked him, like, what was he doing, like, around the time that might have been occurring, like, if we could, like, see around his room just for a moment to, like, see anything that might be off, you know, just to make sure and like rule them out. Not like being accusatory, just being like, hey, we're just trying to make sure, you know.
Well, he
Yeah,
doesn't seem.
Hale will look around.
What's that?
Hale will be the one looking around.
Okay. Well, Hale, why don't you give me a perception check then?
Oh God.
Okay. So he doesn't seem too terribly torn up about Amber's death. He seems very matter of fact about the whole thing. He explains that he saw her yesterday. He actually had lunch in the galley with her. He seems more upset that this is going to disrupt trade. This because she's not getting married to the Dasmirs. That it's not going to open up the trade routes that he thought it would, because two major families like that joining who are on separate islands, that would have increased the traffic of trade ships. Searching around his room casually while you're talking, you find, obviously you're not like throwing open his trunk and rooting through it, but you do find a pouch kind of just tossed onto his bed, and with a casual look at it, it seems to be filled with all sorts of strange components. Like an amber rod is in there, and some feathers, a little bit of pinch of sand. It's pretty obvious this seems to be like a wizard's component pouch.
Okay. Yeah, I can like with that telepathic bond thing we have right now, I can like speak back and forth with you, Liam.
Yes, you can.
All right, yeah, I'll let him know that there's like a spell component pouch.
Okay.
But I'll also let him know that he seems more. This is very like businessy, and he seems more upset that she won't be getting married now because she's dead.
Well, I would send back through the bond, if he's upset now that she's dead and the trading bond isn't going to be created, if he had found out that she wasn't going to be marrying them anyway, he could get angry enough to do something about it.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of like leave that where you
Okay.
make of it what you will.
Well, I think the guy's.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just said, well, I think the guy's suspicious.
Definitely.
That, or he's the potential greatest red. He's the second red herring in the bunch if we're wanting to go down that spiral again.
Right.
For all we know, this is just the captain's doing.
It would be very impressive at that point.
Just an elaborate ruse for some kind of like inane like scheme.
I'm gonna press my luck again and see if he seems to be honest with his answers.
You want to do an insight check?
Yep. I pressed my luck too hard.
I mean, he seems very honest and straightforward in what he wants and what he believes.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try something different then. I don't know if this is considered evil.
Are there any more questions you want to ask him?
No, I can't think of anything.
All right. Well, I mean, you guys.
I want to see what Hale's thinking of doing though. The question of if it's evil is making me curious.
Oh, Hale's going to use his telepathy.
Uh-huh.
And I guess this would be deception.
What exactly are you trying to do?
Oh, I'm gonna make him think that he's. I'm gonna try and like make him think that he's like having thoughts of like just confessing, coming clean. Just be
Okay.
like in his mind, be like, you should
So
confess.
is your telepathy considered a spell-like effect?
Let me look.
Is it like as the spell or something like that?
No, it is. You can send telepathic messages to any creature you see within 30 feet of you. You don't need to share any languages. The creature must be with the creature, but must be able to understand at least one language to comprehend these messages. It doesn't say anything about like being like a spell thing.
Okay. So you use your telepathy on him. You feel like a moment of resistance, and Lucian kind of flinches a little bit before you're able to make contact. And you get the feeling that you may have just like gotten through some defense that he has against mind-altering effects.
Interesting.
So what are
Like,
you-
essentially that I'm gonna basically like try and like make him think that he wants to like I'm gonna make him like think like make him question. I'm gonna try and make it think that it's like his own thoughts telling him to you should just come clean.
Why don't you roll a deception check?
Well, I'm glad I have a +1 in charisma.
So he looks really confused for like a second or two, and then he'll glare at Hal with like the most like steely ice cold glare you've ever seen. Get out of my head.
All right. Yeah, we got nothing aside from the fact that he has spell components.
Spell components, and that he had lunch
Yeah.
at the one time that she wasn't surrounded by other people.
Oh, she was with the captain, I'm guessing. Oh, wait, no.
She was in the galley.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She was
So
in the
so far,
galley,
the only other
so
person you've
now we've
established
got a
was there
couple
was
other
Lucian.
things, a couple other people we can talk to.
Yeah, we can talk to, I guess we can talk to the cook.
Talk to Mr. Button.
Yep.
I also want to talk to the cartographer, Quentin,
Okay.
because he's always seen hobbling about in random locations.
He's probably got knowledge, dude.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, so you both groups have now questioned the people you intended to question. What's next?
I think we regroup.
Yeah, maybe meet back up.
Yeah.
And head off to talk to people who were in the galley during lunchtime, see if they saw anything weird. Or do we go to Cromwell?
I'd say we go ask the chef if
Yeah.
he might have any information, and then go see the cartographer.
I think talk to at least Button, the cook.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys head off to the galley to find Mr. Button.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you
Yep.
find him as he generally is, cooking away in the galley, humming to himself as he's got a big pot simmering on the stove. He kind of looks over his shoulder as you come in. Oh, hello.
Seem rather jolly considering the atmosphere.
The atmosphere? What do
I
you
don't-
mean?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I don't think everyone knows.
never mind. Mr. Button. Yesterday, Amber and Miss Davenport and Mr. Fox had lunch together down in the galley. We hear.
He
Did
pauses for
you-
a moment and thinks. Oh yeah, I remember those two being in here.
Did you notice anything off about their interactions?
Can't say they really interacted much.
They just sat there peacefully eating.
Lucian took his food to go, if I remember correctly. Came in and got it and headed back to his cabin. Miss Amber sat right over there, and he points to one of the seats at the galley table. She's a pleasant young lady she is. And, let me think. We had a couple of the other crew members in here. Oh, and Miss Tilda with that pet thing of hers that tags along sometimes.
Pet thing?
And, that Mr. Porter fellow. He was helping me cook.
He was helping you cook, you say?
Oh, taught me a lovely gumbo recipe.
Mm-hmm. Did Mr. Porter happen to hit this gumbo to Amber?
I think she tried some of it. She had some, I had some.
Like, did she have some straight from the bowl, or did he bring her specifically her own?
He kind of looks at you and blinks a few times. I can't remember those details, sir.
Right? And you said Tilda brought some creature along with her?
Yeah, you ain't seen it? I guess she keeps it in her cabin most of the time. I don't know, weird little thing. Like a cat with wings or something.
A familiar?
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's just a pet. Got some kind of magic-y collar thing on it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Excuse me.
Well, we have a little bit more information to go on.
Yes, thank you. You've been
Thank
very
you.
helpful.
Kind of nods. Yeah, anytime I can.
We'll be back if we think of any more questions.
Is there any fruit like laying like out and about? Like
Yeah.
an apple or
Yeah, there's got apples, oranges, bananas.
hell, just grab an apple and head out with them.
Hale eats an apple in the scene to look more like an asshole. Ding! I'm sorry, I couldn't resist the CinemaSins reference. Okay. Well,
Who's
no
off to
idea.
next? I think the Cromwells.
I think the Cromwells as well.
We should see
Yeah.
what this creature
It's
is.
the Cromwells and Porter who we still need to interview. Because we've got 4 people that were pretty much, well, actually I would say 3. Benjamin seems to not exactly be the most likely.
I just wonder what motive the wife would have to kill her.
I mean, she does seem like the kind that might be a little just against someone, who gets to live the life that she wishes she had.
Maybe.
Could be
We can find
something
out.
as petty as that. Nobility's killed for worse.
You're right, actually. We are assholes.
Be right back, guys.
I need actually a bathroom break as well.
All right, we can take a 5-minute.
Sounds good. I can make.
Yeah, I gotta do the same too.
Alrighty.
All right, we'll be back. Fifi. There you go. All right.
All right, so we're back into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
We're going to talk to the Cromwells.
Yeah, the Cromwells.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So they actually have the large cabin with 2 beds at the stern of the ship. Oh, excuse me. And you enter. You find the 2 of them. Obviously, Benjamin is drinking again, because that seems to be what he does most of the time. And Tilda is sitting on the bed with a odd-looking little creature in her lap that she is petting. And it looks very much like a house cat with wings.
What a lovely little creature.
Yeah. It's a tressum.
Hey, he knows what it is.
I had a druid whose animal companion was a tressum in third edition.
It just sounds like the most mischievous kind of creature. I couldn't imagine my cats having wings. They already are bad enough with how they climb.
There we go.
Yep.
It's fluffy and cute.
Yeah.
It's literally a house cat with wings.
It is cute and fluffy. That is
So yeah,
all I need to
she
know.
is lounging on her bed, petting this as you enter, and Benjamin is... He looks like he's 3 or 4 cups in, and he kind of looks over at the group. What is going on?
Tiala just kind of rubs the bridge of her nose, like, of course he doesn't know. Allium? Could you handle talking to Mr. Cromwell?
Sure.
I'm not the biggest fan.
Mr. Cromwell. Clearly, you and your wife could have not done such a thing. However, you might have some information that could be helpful in figuring out who did this so that we can all go about our lives and continue to roam about the ship. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary yesterday?
And he kind of regards you. Out of the ordinary?
Yeah, like anyone that was lurking about in places they shouldn't have been.
I'll tell you what. The most out of ordinary things on this ship is you and your group.
Oh, okay. Where did you have breakfast yesterday?
I had breakfast with my wife.
Okay, and where would you have had lunch?
I don't remember.
Mrs. Cromwell, where did you have lunch yesterday?
I had lunch in the captain's table.
Oh, okay. So do you mind telling me, did y'all have dinner together or did y'all dine separately as well?
You
at
said
dinner?
lunch, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, no,
And-
she had lunch in the galley.
Okay. I was like, oh, we just got our killer. She slipped up.
Sorry. My brain heard
I was like,
breakfast for some reason.
Case solved.
I was gonna say something along like, and there was I was gonna be like, and there was a reason you stopped by the galley for what reason?
Yeah.
But if she had lunch there, clearly.
Yeah.
My brain heard
okay.
breakfast for some reason.
No, you're fine. I asked breakfast first, and then I asked lunch.
Okay,
and when
no,
you
she had
said
lunch in the
something
galley.
other than...
Okay.
Gotcha. And Mr. Cromwell, you didn't eat lunch with your wife yesterday?
She didn't want me to.
Oh,
I can't
were y'all in
imagine
another
why.
spat? It's just sarcasm from both of us.
Yeah, I didn't catch either one because you spoke at the same time.
He
Tiala
said-
just was like, I can't imagine why.
And Allium said, oh, did she not want you to? Oh, no, it was, did y'all get into another spat? Anyway, besides the point. And where did you, but you don't remember where you ate lunch? It
I
couldn't
do
have been,
not.
Probably wrong to
seems
remember.
a bit weird, but I remember where I eat all of my meals.
Mrs. Cromwell speaks up. Yes, but you're also not 3 sheets to the wind most of the day.
Very true. Mrs. Cromwell, did y'all have dinner together? Did y'all eat dinner together?
Yes, we did. We ate at the captain's table.
Gotcha. And were y'all, after the captain's table, what did y'all do?
We came back here. I went to sleep. He passed out.
Did you happen, Miss Cromwell, did you happen to pass by Miss Davenport during your lunch?
Yes, she was in the galley.
Did anything seem amiss about her? Did anyone approach her? Bring her her own, like, bring her food or drink besides Mr. Button?
I believe that Quentin fellow was serving his gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you said that your husband was passed out flat drunk all last night.
Yes, he usually is.
Guys, do y'all have any other questions? My brain is starting to turn to mush.
I know the feeling. You said he was bringing out his gumbo. Did Mr. Porter bring individual bowls to people? Or was he, like, scooping it straight from the pot, bringing it, like, straight out of the pot? Or did he, like, pour each one into a bowl and individually bring those to people himself?
Well, I'm sure I wasn't paying that much attention. Miss Davenport and I were having a lovely conversation about mercantile finances.
Oh, so you got along with Miss Davenport.
Oh, yes, she was a lovely woman.
Did she speak to you at all about her engagement to Mr. Dassimer?
Not at length, but I dare say she didn't seem pleased by the arrangement, and I can't blame her. I was arranged to marry this oaf.
Yes, nobility does seem to arrange that quite often. You actually, did anything else seem off about Mr. Porter? Did he, while he was there, or was
Everything
it
about that man seems off.
all the time?
He's an odd one.
I mean, a person who stares at making maps all day, I mean, probably needs to get out a little bit. Well, lovely cat you have, by the way, or pet.
Oh, this is my dear Dusty. We got him during an expedition into Aspermere's mountains.
He's a beautiful creature. I'm rather surprised your husband doesn't have one mounted on the wall somewhere.
Oh, he does. There's a stuffed one in his study.
Oh,
Of course.
yeah. That's a shame.
Well,
And Benjamin kind of pipes up. Ah, fearsome creature. Fought it barehanded.
indeed. Well, Miss Cromwell,
More and more like my father.
well, I guess it makes no matter now. Did you know that Miss Davenport wasn't planning on actually getting engaged?
Oh, I didn't know for certain, but a woman's intuition does say she wasn't happy with the arrangement and was probably planning to run away.
Hmm. So, I do understand how that would affect the Merchants Guild. Would it have affected anyone else beyond that? If she decided to not go through with the wedding?
Well, I don't know for certain, but I can assume that her family and the Dasmirs wouldn't be happy about it, but I believe the Blackridge family probably would have been.
Overjoyed. Well, thank
I'm
you
sure they
for
stood to
asking.
lose quite a bit if the two families merged.
So it wouldn't be beyond them to, say, hire someone to prevent the marriage?
I'm sure I can't speak to that, but you know how the nobility are.
Indeed I do. Well, I have asked what I wish to know.
Also, I believe we've done fairly well
Yes,
with this. We should speak to Mr. Porter.
I agree.
Yes, the last of people to look into.
Yeah.
All right, so you leave the
We'll be back if
Cromwells.
we find any more questions.
Yes, if we have any more questions, we'll be by.
So yeah, you leave the Cromwell's room and head to Quentin's room. You open the door and are assaulted by just smoke, just like pipe smoke.
Oh,
Blows.
I thought you-
Yala just starts waving her tail in front of her face, trying to get rid of it.
And it's got kind of a sickly sweet scent to it.
Mm.
And you see the man himself sitting on his bed, puffing away on his long stem pipe. And he smiles as you enter. Aha! Was wondering when you'd come here.
It was a matter of time, of course. So, Mr. Porter, I have got a few questions for you. You were serving gumbo yesterday?
Oh yeah, family recipe. Thought the folks might enjoy something a little different from Mr. Button's stew.
And, you were bringing each person their own helping. Everyone who was in the galley.
Oh, we can't all eat from the same bowl now, can we?
True. I was meaning more along like you weren't just giving like small samples. You were giving full bowls straight from the pot, so to speak.
Be kind of silly to make it and then not serve it.
True. Mr. Porter, what was your relation with Miss Davenport? Did you know anything about her beyond the obvious?
Not much, I can't say. Pretty lady, though.
And Mr. Fox came, got his meal, and left the galley that day, you said. Or I remember I've heard. Did anything seem off about him?
Can't say so, no. Came in, got himself some, and headed off. He takes a long drag off his pipe, and you see the ember kind of go out, and he frowns and taps it out on the floor. Excuse me, miss. And he points at Allium. Did you grab that box there off my desk? And you see there's like a little box full of dried, like, smoke weed and stuff in it. Hello?
Megan?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Goes off?
Not quite, but I did. I was thinking and just zoned. I'm so sorry. Please, one more time.
He asked Allium to get his pipe weed off of his desk.
Oh, yes. I'll fly over and Can I, while I'm grabbing the pipeweed off the desk, kind of just like take a quick look around and see if there's anything of interest or note on the desk
Yeah, you can make a perception
as
check.
well? Perception?
Yep.
Oh, come on. Nope, just the pipeweed. That's
Yeah, I mean, the desk is messy. There's scatterings of his pipeweed around there and stuff, but nothing seems interesting.
I pick up the pipeweed. I'm assuming I'm having to use both hands and kind of fly it over to him and set it in his hand.
Thank you very much.
Porter, how familiar are you with magic?
Magic? Afraid I'm not much in the magic sort.
No, nothing that would to make sure you stay safe when traversing to make your maps.
He kind of
Nothing like an
quirks an eyebrow
invisibility.
at you and kind of regards you with his one bad eye and looks down and taps his bad leg. Do I look like one who stays safe when he's traveling?
Touche. Ah,
And what
So-
brought you again to traveling to this island?
Updating maps.
you mentioned that not a lot of people have been by Olverain to make maps.
No one from our guild? No.
No one from your guild specifically. Would the Cartographers Guild, have had any issues if Ms. Davenport proceeded with her marriage?
Can't say as it would matter much to us. While he's talking, he's kind of packing his pipe with his weed.
Said it has a sickly sweet smell. Is it something that we've smelled before?
No.
Is it like normal what we would know normal tobacco to smell like?
Might not be tobacco that he's doing, but
Well, he asked for tobacco.
He asked for pipe weed, which
Pipe
is,
weed,
which is not
okay.
the same as weed.
Gotcha. No, understood. Okay, so sorry, my
that's a
bad.
pet
Let me
peeve of
alter
mine.
my question.
It's the Tolkien thing, right? The Lord of the Ring
it's
thing.
pipe weed, which is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
real
Yeah,
thing.
the Hobbit shit. The shit the
Yeah.
Hobbit thing.
I kind of figured.
Let me alter my question. The pipeweed that he asked to get, does it smell like what we know pipeweed to smell like, or is it there's something
All
off about
kinds
it?
of there are several different types of pipe weed. They all kind of smell different.
Gotcha.
I mean, you could ask him what type it is.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. If you don't mind me asking, what strand of pipeweed do you prefer to smoke?
Hmm?
What are you smoking right now?
Sorry, hang on one second.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, this? Oh, it's a lovely South Tremana blend. It's a bit of cinnamon. There's a bit of Wildlands Amberite, and just a hint of Midnight Lily. Very rare.
Midnight Lily.
Oh. Is that sweet smell that it has?
Mmm. Yes, indeedy. And he lights it and takes a drag.
Midnight lily, that's a pretty rare ingredient, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, a bit hard to come by. Makes for lovely smoking.
I bet the pipeweed that you have is quite valuable.
Yeah, it cost me a bit.
Well, they're like talking him up. Hale's just gonna casually like take a look around and
Take a look around for what?
just in general, seeing if there's anything that's might be suspicious or interesting.
All right, go ahead and make a roll.
Alrighty. Wow.
No, it all seems pretty normal in here.
Yep.
Our roles are starting to reflect our mental status.
Hale's not very smart. He
Uh.
can't help.
Okay. See, now I really feel like it's Porter. I just don't know why. So I don't want to accuse him because I don't understand his motive. But he's the only one that has a very rare ingredient for what would be the poison that we think was used on her.
Porter, what do you know about the Black Ridges?
Black Ridges.
Oh,
They're-
yes, the
they're-
other noble family on Orlain.
Well, that's about all I know about them.
They've
I've
never
seen-
contacted you or anything?
I really know they
While
have to
they're-
contact a lowly cartographer like me.
While they're talking, do you mind if I try an insight
Sure.
as he's answering questions?
I was about to say the same thing.
Go for it.
I get the same line. I'm like, something.
Okay. 19.
Yeah, he's definitely spinning some yarns here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Part of me wants to be like,
So, Tiala's going to move a little closer and go, Mr. Porter, you're a charming man. We're trying to just rule some things out. And as she places her hand on his shoulder, she's going to use Charm Person.
Okay.
It doesn't show it. He has to make a DC 14 wisdom save.
Oh my God, I
Tiala
forgot
out here with the fucking
And
with
for
the
those of
really
you who will
powerful
notice,
move.
her eyes will like shimmer for a brief moment, and it's not something that she seems to be actively aware of that happened.
I'll be honest. I don't think Aliam or Hale fucking notice shit.
Well, he rolled a 1, so
You can be honest with us. I mean, the Black Ridges are talk to everyone. They've contacted me. They've contacted the Merchants Guild. I'm sure they would have come to contact you for contact the Cartographers Guild at least for something.
yeah. I suppose they did.
Do you happen to have any idea why they might have contacted you?
Well, they wanted to hire one of us.
Particularly what?
Well, to do what we do.
And what exactly is it that you do? I know the Cartographers Guild, but sometimes it just feels like there's not a whole lot of, well, wealth to be had in making maps. Especially of pretty well-known areas, like Olrain. I mean, we're a vassal kingdom.
He chuckles a little bit. Sure enough there, but that ain't all we do.
what else do you do?
He kind of smiles with a bit of a dopey look on his face. I kill people.
Like,
I'm
say,
going to telepathically.
like, say someone who might throw off an entire, I don't know, person's financial situation. Like, say, the Black Ridges with the marriage of Ms. Davenport to the Dossamers.
He kind of leans in close. They really didn't like that.
I can understand that. She's kind of motioning for Jahan and Hale to go fetch somebody.
Yeah, I'm gonna telepathically communicate to Jahan while they're talking and have one of them go and fetch the captain while the other one is gonna help try and like tie him up as he's talking.
Oh,
As you do that, Jahan's just gonna like stutter like, and then just like run to go get the captain.
Okay.
Hale's
So I guess
gonna
me and Hale are tying him up.
slowly move closer.
Don't. Diala's just kind of like looking like, don't move too much.
Okay.
Well, that is such a risky thing. It makes sense why you have that issue with your leg and your eye. You know, killing people it's a very dangerous job.
He kind of grins. You want to know a secret?
Oh, I would love to hear a secret.
Ain't nothing wrong with my leg.
Really? Oh, I'd have never have guessed. You play your part so well. And let me guess, you're really familiar with, that midnight, what's it called? That poison that so hard to trace. Only get somebody at midnight, huh?
Oh yeah, Midnight Tears. Bit of a trademark, actually.
Oh, a trademark? Of your guild.
Yep,
And that's the Cartographers Guild?
yep.
Oh. Wow. Well, I guess they did have to make their money some way. Well, Mr. Porter, you have been such a good friend. And thank you for sharing such wonderful information. I would love to hear more of your story sometime.
Sure.
And that's when she's kind of like, okay, tie him up. She's just kind of, because I'm
Alright.
presuming everyone's closed in real quick.
Yep, and you
Yeah,
get
if
about
you'll-
halfway through tying him up before he kind of snaps out of it, because at that point it's considered a bit hostile. But
Yeah.
by then you've got him.
And she's just kind of, Tiala's like, just kind of like gives him like the small wave with the fingers, like, hi.
He seems remarkably calm, even as he's being tied up.
To
And a few minutes after that, Captain Zephyr arrives. What's going on?
Well, we found your killer.
He looks at the tied up, greasy looking, as far as he knows, hobbling, handicapped man. Are you sure?
Mr. Porter here doesn't have a bum leg at all.
That
And
makes him
has
the killer.
connections to a guild. His guild is involved in killing people, according to what he says.
Oh, so he flat out admitted it.
And he's got the
Could-
night lily or whatever the flower is. In
Familiar
his...
with the Midnight Lily and Midnight Tears, saying it's their trademark. A poison that would happen to have left the condition that Ms. Davenport was found in. And supposedly, the people that contacted him at the guild were the Black Ridges,
The captain.
who didn't want the marriage to go through.
s-
If only they had known the truth.
Are you done?
Sorry.
Jesus Christ. The captain nods. Makes sense. We'll throw him in the brig. And a couple of his crewmen will come in and haul Quentin out and down into the brig. And thus concludes the murder mystery aboard the Sparrow.
Woo!
Oh,
And I think we'll call it there because we're going over time and I can tell everybody's getting tired.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta love
I'm
being
tired.
saved by a natural one.
Yeah.
Alrighty.